I wasn't expecting Caitlin Clark to be coming back this early, but ESPN put out an article earlier this week kind of summing up. They was predicting Caitlin Clark to be back by August the 12th. Now, this just came out of the pipeline of the Indiana Fever front office. Let's pull it up right now.
The Golden Goose is on the verge of returning, and the entire basketball world is on edge. After weeks of silence and nonstop speculation, Caitlin Clark's injury status has officially been bumped to game-time decision, igniting a frenzy across the WNBA. The Indiana Fever's cornerstone, the league's ultimate ratings powerhouse, and the most pivotal figure in women's basketball is preparing to lace up once more. One step onto the court, and she could single-handedly shift the entire postseason narrative.
Caitlin effing Clark is a game-time decision. She is a game-time decision. She is, as far as I'm aware, someone said she's listed as questionable on the app. Someone said on the app she's listed as questionable. But she is a game-time decision, apparently. Look, if we're going to be honest, no, she's a game-time.
When Clark takes the court again, it's more than a comeback, it's the revival of the league's heartbeat. The WNBA has been staggering without its golden ticket, watching ratings nosedive like a plane without engines. But her return? That's the cavalry charging in. Every executive, coach, player, and sponsor knows the stakes, and they're all silently aware that the league's momentum, relevance, and a good chunk of its revenue are riding on whatever happens the moment she laces up.
Caitlin Clark may be back, and that will leave a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games left to get ready for the playoff run. Right now, you're looking at the Atlanta Dream, or you're looking at the Phoenix Mercury, which should be very interesting considering all the plots around that.
Here's the hard truth nobody wants to say out loud, but everyone knows deep down. Before Clark's groin injury on July 15th, Indiana Fever games were pulling an eye-popping 1.81 million viewers. The second she was sidelined? That audience cratered to just 847,000. That's a jaw-dropping 53% freefall, the kind of hit that doesn't just sting, it rattles the entire league. One player's absence turned a ratings powerhouse into a warning siren the WNBA can't afford to ignore.
You can argue this intelligently. No one person means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlin Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. Patrick Mahomes does not mean that much to the NFL. Steph Curry does not mean that much to the NBA. LeBron James does not mean that much to the NBA. She is a monster. When we look back on this, Caitlin Clark will be for the WNBA what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were for the NBA.
If you are enjoying, please leave a like and subscribe our channel. But it's even uglier than that. League-wide, national WNBA viewership nosedived by a staggering 55% while Clark was out. Let that sink in, over half the league's TV audience vanished the moment she couldn't suit up. That's not mere star power, that's full-blown economic dependency. The kind that would make any CEO start sweating through their suit jacket and scrambling for a survival plan.
You can't tell me that the Caitlin Clark effect isn't real. You knew when news broke yesterday that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for a few weeks, that ticket prices were going to go down, but I never expected them to go down 71% for the rivalry game. I can't help but laugh because the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was a quote that we got last year from Angel Reese when she was talking about how people don't just watch the WNBA for Caitlin, they watch it because of her as well. Hate to say it, those numbers don't lie. They're watching because of Caitlin.
The ticket market painted the same bleak picture. With Clark on the floor, Fever games averaged $137 a seat. Without her? A bargain bin $80. When Indiana faced Chicago minus both Clark and Angel Reese, prices that once went for $86 plunged to just $25. Even marquee matchups weren't safe, premium seats crashed from $210 to $95, and the cheapest tickets tumbled from $86 to $25. Teams that had shifted games to bigger arenas, banking on Clark's presence, got burned when she couldn't play. The Washington Mystics even moved a game to Baltimore to cash in on Clark Mania, only to watch prices sink from $41 to $14 the moment she was ruled out.
Fever Sky tickets dropped 71% on TickPick after Caitlin Clark injury. The get-in price for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever game was $86. After Caitlin Clark's injury announcement is now down to $25. And you Angel Reese fangirls will still believe and think that Angel Reese is the reason why people are watching the WNBA.
Sports economist Ryan Brewer estimated Clark's economic impact could soar to $1 billion this season, and that's not hype, it's hard math. We're talking merchandise, tourism, TV contracts, and every revenue stream tied to a cultural force who transcends the sport. For the Fever alone, her presence was pegged at roughly $340 million in value, catapulting them from a middle-of-the-pack franchise to the WNBA's crown jewel. And the ripple effect? It stretches well beyond Indianapolis, influencing ticket sales, sponsorship deals, and market interest across the entire league.
I think we're on the verge of seeing Caitlin Clark become bigger than the sport herself. WNBA viewing attendance is up over 200% since she joined the league. The Indiana Fever actually are outselling the Pacers, averaging over 17,000 attendance per game. That's crazy. $1 billion is the estimated increase in WNBA valuation based on Caitlin Clark alone. $1 billion. Now, this is up about 25% from the total economic value. Crazy to see these kind of numbers. I think we're on the verge of seeing something like MJ Tiger, where the average consumer goes to the TV because of.
When Clark hits the road, ticket prices don't just climb, they skyrocket by an average of 140%, with resale averages hitting $312. On StubHub's list of the 10 best-selling WNBA games this season, every single one featured the Fever. Dick's Sporting Goods reported a 233% jump in WNBA merchandise sales from last year, while Fanatics saw league-wide merch sales explode by more than 500%. Clark herself ranks among the top 20 best-selling athletes across all sports and 6th among all basketball players, NBA included. Her Nike deal, reportedly $28 million over 8 years, makes her WNBA salary of $76,535 look laughably small, underscoring just how wide the gap is between the value she brings to the league and what she's actually paid.
Caitlin Clark's agent, Aaron Kane, said Caitlin will never be paid what she's worth by the WNBA because it is quite literally impossible for them to pay her what she's worth. An economist at Indiana University Columbus calculated that Caitlin Clark was responsible for $36 million in economic impact to the city of Indianapolis, and that she is responsible for 27% of the entire WNBA's economic activity for this past season, including attendance, merchandise sales, and television. One player in a big league responsible for 27% of the economic.
Here's what makes Clark's impending return even more dramatic. The Indiana Fever have been operating in full crisis mode since she went down. Both of their backup point guards, Ari McDonald and Sydney Colson, suffered season-ending injuries in their August 7th game against Phoenix Mercury, leaving the team scrambling to sign 12-year veteran Odyssey Sims to a hardship contract. During Clark's absence, the Fever managed a respectable 6-4 record over their last 10 games, including a dominant 92-70 victory over the Chicago Sky while playing with only 9 available players. Kelsey Mitchell stepped into the point guard role magnificently, dropping 26 points and 8 assists with just 1 turnover against Chicago. Aaliyah Boston has been posting video game numbers, shooting 78% from the field over a 4-game stretch without Clark. But here's the uncomfortable truth that everyone in the organization understands: this is borrowed time. The Fever can survive without Clark for stretches, but they cannot thrive. They cannot become championship contenders. They cannot sustain the massive television audiences and ticket sales that have transformed them from irrelevant to indispensable. Sophie Cunningham herself admitted they look like a different team with Clark and without Clark.
Now, if you're wondering about Odyssey, she is a guard, 5'8". She's a veteran, 33 years old. This is interesting. She's been an all-star. She's also was 2019 All-WNBA. 2014 All-Rookie Team. She's had some good seasons in here. No, she doesn't have a great history with the three-point shot. But if Caitlin Clark is coming back,
Clark's recent appearance on Sue Bird's podcast revealed the psychological toll of carrying an entire league on her shoulders. She admitted feeling this responsibility of being out there and playing, acknowledging that viewership and ticket sales drop substantially whenever she's unavailable. The pressure isn't just about basketball performance anymore, it's about understanding that hundreds of jobs, millions in revenue, and the entire trajectory of women's professional basketball depends on her health. Her mother's text message during this latest injury provides insight into the crushing expectations Clark faces daily. "You've taken so much time for everybody else." Clark described the unique challenge of returning to professional basketball without the luxury of training camp preparation. "It's not like I have a training camp to build up to playing my first game again. It's no, you're tossed into game 30. Go try to play well." She's dealing with the stop-and-go nature of soft tissue injuries while knowing that every game missed represents massive financial losses across multiple organizations.
Being active and playing 4 games and then not, and not feeling the best, and then frustrated of how hard I worked in the off season, and then all I do is rehab and continue to do this process. And just trying to trust that the best I can. And obviously there's really frustrating days, and there's days where it's a little bit easier, and you're very, very motivated, and you're close to the finish line of getting back and being back. And then it's not like I have a training camp to build up to playing my first game again. It's no, you're tossed into game 30. Go try to play well. It's hard.
When Caitlin Clark finally returns, and every indication says that moment is just around the corner, the WNBA is about to experience a ratings earthquake. Her comeback game has the potential to be one of the most watched regular season contests in league history. The last time she returned from injury, facing the New York Liberty on June 14, the game drew a peak audience of 2.8 million viewers, ranking as ESPN's third most watched WNBA game ever on ABC. Indiana currently sits 5th in the standings at 18-14, firmly in playoff contention but with little room for error. Every win matters, and Clark's return could be the difference between a deep postseason run and an early exit. The Fever's dominant win over Chicago without her has only amplified the anticipation, setting the stage for a comeback with massive stakes.
Now, Caitlin Clark just helped deliver a major statement win. On Saturday, June 14, Caitlin Clark returned to the court for the Indiana Fever after missing 5 games due to a quad injury. The Indiana Fever handed the New York Liberty their first loss of the season, and Caitlin Clark was at the center of it. She made a return with force, leading the charge on both ends of the floor, and she came back in dominant fashion, putting up 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. Just shy of a 30-point triple-double in a 102-88 win over the New York Liberty. Now, even NBA's own LeBron James took notice, posting the CC effect.
The business implications of Clark's return are staggering. ESPN networks, which were actually down slightly in WNBA viewership before Clark's return last season, saw massive gains once she was healthy. ESPN Research VP Flora Kelly acknowledged Clark's importance while emphasizing the league's overall growth. "We love Caitlin Clark, and we think she's phenomenal and she's a generational talent. But the growth that's happening outside of those Fever games is really something that I feel like everyone's missing the boat on." Even so, 21 of the 24 WNBA broadcasts that drew at least 1 million viewers last season featured Clark. The timing aligns perfectly with the WNBA's new $2.2 billion media rights deal beginning in 2026, shared between NBC Sports and ESPN. Both networks are betting heavily on the league's continued growth, with Clark serving as the cornerstone of that investment. teams across the league have already adapted their strategies around Clark's drawing power. The Dream, Sun, Wings, Vegas Aces, Washington Mystics, and Chicago Sky have all moved home games against Indiana to larger venues to accommodate increased demand. When the Fever visited Iowa for a preseason exhibition, it became the most expensive ticket in Clark's entire career, with resale prices reaching over $1,750.
Caitlin Clark continues to crush the viewership department and bring in those big ratings. This is from ESPN PR. This past Sunday, ABC aired another of its most watched WNBA games ever with the Indiana Fever's win over the Dallas Wings. It averaged 2.1 million viewers and peaked at 2.5 million viewers. WNBA on ESPN is up 7% from last season, man. What? The numbers are crazy. The numbers are crazy. She's a draw. It's just...
Here's why Caitlin Clark's return isn't just exciting, it's urgent for the Indiana Fever. Despite back-to-back #1 overall picks in Aaliyah Boston and Clark, their championship window is narrower than most fans think. The WNBA salary cap and parity-driven structure make it nearly impossible for any team to dominate for years. The Fever must maximize Clark's rookie contract and the surge of momentum she's generated before rival franchises close the gap. Head coach Stephanie White summed it up. The margin for error when you're talking about playing championship-caliber teams is so small. Early season results backed it up, a 93-58 demolition of Chicago where Clark posted a triple-double, plus tight battles with defending champion New York Liberty, showed this roster belongs in the title picture. With Clark healthy again, the Fever's shot at making that vision a reality is right now.
We have not seen Caitlin Clark since the beginning of July. A lot of people have predicted for her to be out around the end of August, but this is a great update, seeing that she could possibly play tomorrow going up against Paige Beckers. Now, we know they have been having this crazy narrative about Paige and Caitlin, Paige being better. Everything will be put to bed tomorrow. I pray Caitlin plays.
When Caitlin Clark steps back on the court, it's more than just a basketball comeback. It's a return to a league where every opponent knows their own careers, salaries, and spotlight are tied to her presence. Across the WNBA, players are uneasy, fully aware of the uncomfortable reality. The league's surge in popularity isn't the result of shared growth, but the Caitlin Clark show, with everyone else playing supporting roles. That raises the haunting questions. What happens the next time she's sidelined? What happens when she eventually walks away from the game? Her return comes at a volatile moment, a packed, physically punishing schedule that's already leaving players injured across the league. Clark will immediately be tested against elite opponents on national TV, with the entire league watching to see if she can reclaim her pre-injury dominance. The mental games have already begun. Her first game back isn't just a sporting event, it's the opening salvo in a battle over the future and identity of women's basketball.
2.1 million average viewers to watch the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, take on the Dallas Wings. ABC airs another of its most watched WNBA games ever. WNBA games ever. Ever. Ever, ever, forever, ever, forever, ever. ABC's fourth most watched WNBA game ever. More than 120 regular season and post-season games. More than 120 regular season and post-season games. This is more than most WNBA finals games, including last year.
Caitlin Clark's return isn't just a sports headline, it's a cultural moment. She's become more than a star athlete, she's a phenomenon who's pulled in audiences that had never given women's basketball a glance. Her games have regularly outdrawn NBA playoff matchups, breaking through demographic walls that decades of WNBA marketing failed to touch. This Caitlin Clark effect has turned women's basketball into must-see TV while creating an almost crushing level of expectation. On her shoulders rest the hopes of every player chasing higher salaries, every network that's poured millions into women's sports, and every fan convinced this is the dawn of a new era. Her ability to draw 1.3 million All-Star fan votes, compared to just 96,000 for the top vote-getter 2 years ago, shows a connection with audiences that borders on unprecedented. Her games set attendance records, shatter television ratings, and pull mainstream headlines in a way the league had only imagined. Now, with Clark finally lacing up again, the WNBA isn't just getting back its brightest star, it's getting back the engine that powers its entire cultural relevance. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.